Hey everybody, I'm Mike, this is Budget Guns and Gear Reviews, and you are watching The Right to the People, where we use the first to defend the second every Friday night at 11:30 p.m. Eastern. So uncover your keyboards, fire up your fingers, and come join the conversation.
Hey everybody, this is Friday, October 4th, 2019, and it is 11:30 p.m., so it is The Right of the People. Glad to see you guys. Calavera says he loves the technical difficulties intro I made. Awesome. Yeah, I figured if I might as well embrace it, right? You know, that kind of seems to be the running thing, so hey, just embrace it and give it love. Anyhow, this is The Right of the People. We got a lot to talk about this week. Let me welcome the irascible yet lovable Squibload to the show. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. I think your technical difficulties are contagious.
Why is that?
Something's going on with my computer. I'm trying to do this on my phone and my desktop, and I just had technical difficulties.
Well, I've been accused of infecting people a time or two, but that's a little bit different.
Oh, yeah.
Calavera says, Squib's the only guest? Is everyone else busy? It seems that way. Everybody that has decided that they don't want to come play with Budget tonight.
No. Look, tell him the truth. Okay, he doesn't pay very much, and I work cheap, so...
There is that. Yeah. I mean, by not paying very much, this is like, nothing. And by cheap, he means free. See? Yeah, so. Hey, Budget Guns and Gear Reviews, right? You kind of have to expect that. So let's see who all we have out here in El Chatteroony on the YouTube side. By the way, welcome those of you on YouTube and Facebook. If any of you are watching, if you're over on Facebook, hop on over to YouTube's and say hello in the comments so I can give you a shout out back. If you're over there on Gun Channels, awesome. Thank you very much for watching on Gun Channels. If you are not a member of Gun Channels, or if you don't know what Gun Channels is like the water cooler of the Internet Second Amendment community. You can always find something to talk about and someone to talk with 24/7, 365. It never closes down, so go check it out. Because this is simulcast on Gun Channels and my Facebook, so welcome everybody. Over here on the YouTube's side, we do have Midnight Range TM was indeed first. Travis T, Gun Lover Grandpa, Seven Wonders, John Brown Productions, Kinky Sphincter, Snob's Wife, who promptly got timed out by Gabe Stark in, I've heard of butt dialing, but not timing someone out, but apparently it happens. Let's see, but she's okay about it. She has promised not to suicide him in a Clinton-esque bid for revenge. New York Outcast, Gabe Stark, Calaveras 32 Special, Squib Lift, Squib playing double duty. Yeah, go ahead and send him a link, Squib. I'm all right with Calaveras coming on. Let's see. Yep. He says, I wouldn't be able to speak intelligently about the subject. Well, hell, look who's running the show. I'm not exactly speaking intelligently about it. I pick a topic and bloviate. I mean, that's really all there is to it. So, yeah, dude, if you want to come in, hop in. Be welcome to have you. Anyhow, let's go ahead and move on to what we're talking about tonight. So, the FBI released their 2018 crime stats. I'm sure other people have been talking about this, but hey, that's kind of the curse of doing a show at the end of the week, is that you get to talk about stuff after everyone else did. And that's what we're going to do today. Let's go ahead and take a look at the raw data from the FBI. Looking here at the Unified Crime Report, which is always a wonderful thing. They do this every year, and it has all kinds of facts and figures and statistics and whatnot about crime in this country. And what we're looking at today is expanded homicide data Table 8. Murder victims by weapon 2014 and 2018. So let's look at 2018. Total 14,123 murders they looked at. Total of them were done with firearms was 10,265. Handguns accounted for the vast majority of murders, 6,603 of them. Rifles were 297 of them. You know, those scary, horrible, evil assault rifle, weapons of war, blood machines that no one should be able to have. Yeah, 297 people in 2018 met their fate at the hands of someone armed with a rifle. By comparison, shotguns almost came in with a close third there at 235. Other guns, which I'm not sure what they mean by other guns, are 167. Firearms type not stated, 2,963. But let's look at some other numbers because, you know, those horrible, rotten rifles, and that's all rifles, not just those evil, scary, nasty assault rifles. It should be noted. This could be a Ruger 1022. It could be a lever action. It could be a bolt gun. Could be a pump action gun. It could be a single shot rifle. It could be a muzzleloader for all I know. It could be anything. So rifles, 297. Knives or other cutting instruments, 1,515. Blunt objects, clubs, hammers, etc., 443. Personal weapons, hands, fists, feet, etc., 672 people were killed, murdered, using those weapons. Not like, you know, these horrible instruments of death up here. So the FBI, once again, shows that the hoplophobes and the gun grabbers are absolutely, positively, 100% dead wrong, no pun intended, in their assertions that rifles are the bane of modern society. Now, of course, all of us watching this show already know that, but it's good to be proven right. Of course, this isn't the only thing to come out of the FBI's crime report. We'll get into that in a minute, though. I'd like to welcome Calaveras 32 Special to the show. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing all right. Thank you for the invite.
Hey,
I appreciate you listening to the show.
Hey, no problem, man. No problem. You're here all the time, so I figured, why not? Give you an opportunity to come on and be part of the voice conversation anyway. And then we have Mike from GunTube, a.k.a. the one, the only, he who strikes at night, Night Strike. How are you doing, sir?
Well, I had to show up for my fellow Mike Militia guy, so I'm working on GunTube right now. So if I don't say much, that's why, because the new software is not playing nice.
Yeah, I was planning to actually do my show using the chamber tonight, and
yeah, I mentioned that everything is in extended maintenance because I'm working on it. I've only gotten 4 hours of sleep left. Since I started all this. So, yeah, I'm running on caffeine and fumes. So,
yeah, we appreciate all the hard work there in Night Strike, but you also have to take care of yourself in order for the whole thing to get completed. So just Don't run yourself too hard.
Well, I'm not gonna finish. I'm not gonna get any rest until it's up and running again because I don't like leaving a job half done. And also, budget, I've lost my "this show sucks" piece of paper, but I will make another one just for you tonight because you know what? You deserve it.
We all know it's a lie. This is the best damn show on the internet.
Well, no, the best damn show
even
on the
if I have to
is
say
hit or
so
miss
myself.
Tuesday nights, 9 o'clock.
Even if I have to say so myself.
Well...
Got some more folks joining us. Ozzy Osbourne's out there. Looks like we got Tennessee Gun Guy. Welcome. Midnight Range says, quit brown nosing, pickle. So, heard you had some luck. Saw your post on Instagram, pickle. Tell us about your adventures in the great western forests?
Yeah, that's where bagged myself a bear the other day.
Outstanding. Details.
About 125 yards, dead center of the chest. It ran. I lost the blood trail about a quarter mile. Buddy came up, helped me find it. A few hours later, the dang thing was still kicking. He put two 270 rounds in it, and I put an additional 308 round in it to finally bring it down.
What did you originally shoot it with?
308.
308?
So yeah, it was two 308s and two 270 rounds to finally bring that thing down.
Man.
It did not want to go down.
Boar or sow?
Sow.
All right. Did you get any usable meat off of it?
Yeah, that's where I also posted a picture of that on Instagram as well. That's where one of the back legs went to my buddy since he came up and helped me out. The other back leg, most of it was, fried because one of my 308s, hit the femur and blew about 3 inches of the femur into itty bitty pieces of shrapnel and just shredded the meat.
Ooh, no bueno.
That's where. Sorry.
It said no bueno.
Yeah. So that's where I butchered it out myself, in the garage yesterday, and got as much meat out of it as I could. It's the first time I've ever butchered a bear, so it wasn't the cleanest of butchering, but got it done. The Curvy Girl knife works fantastic. Thank you.
Oh, awesome! I'm glad you like it. I'm assuming you used it to skin, correct?
Yeah, I used it to skin it, and when I was, cutting the flank steaks off, because I was, it similar to the skinning process, so just starting at the rib, essentially the sternum and working my way back towards the spine, I was able to, pull the flank steaks off in one big piece.
Awesome. Well, that's what I designed that knife for, is to be a skinner. So I'm glad to see that it works in that role. Awesome.
Yeah. So pretty much all the cutting was done with that's for what the Curvy Girl for the small work, and then I don't remember what brand anymore, but it's one of the long fish fillet knives. Between the two of them, those were the knives I used.
Cool. Well, I'm glad to hear it. Your hunt was a success. I've never eaten bear. What's it taste like?
I've only ever had it once, and it was barbecued bear ribs, and it was really good. I can't really describe it. It's got a very unique flavor to it.
So it tastes like bear, basically.
Yeah.
I've actually done some research into this, and with bear, they have the same amount of parasites that hogs and pigs do. So you have to cook the meat thoroughly, otherwise, you get sick.
Yeah, that's what I was told with it before too. It's well done is the only option when it comes to bear.
Good to know.
Yeah, that's for. I just remember because I was, what was it, dumpster fire chat last week or something. And I was listening to it on my drive up, and that's where you were working on your bear alarm. So that's where after I smoked, a yogi. That's where, I started snapping pictures of it, like, oh, I gotta mention this to Budget.
Hey, it's always good to eat the bear. It's not good to get at, right?
Exactly.
Well, him shooting that bear is kind of symbolic, because what's California's state flag?
Yep, a brown bear.
Ah.
Which is kind of interesting. That's where, except for, I think, in the very northern part of the state, they may have introduced a couple, or unofficially. That's where I don't think they've ever confirmed. But some of the, in the very northern part of the state, some of these black bear are getting some characteristics that look more grizzly-like than black bear. But yeah, other than that, we don't really have the type of bear in the state that is on our state flag, which is kind of odd.
Well, once again, glad to see that you were successful.
Thank you.
Speaking of successful, Something's working, because part of what came out in the FBI's Unified Crime Report is that crime is at its... I hate ads. Crime is at its lowest rate since 1971. At least as of 2018, crime is at its lowest rate since 1971. This is a piece from Breitbart. AWR Hawkins from October 1st. Statistics drawn from the FBI Uniform Crime Reporting Program show that the violent crime rate in 2018 hit its lowest level since 1971. FBI crime stats show the estimated rate of violent crime was 368.9 offenses per 100,000 inhabitants. That is a 3.9% reduction in the rate when compared with 2017 stats, but the real lesson emerges when we look long term. For example, Bearing Arms reports that the 2018 rate of violent crime was barely above the 1971 rate of 396 offenses per 100,000 inhabitants. Ironically, one of the greatest differences between 1971 and 2018 is that there are exponentially more privately owned firearms now than there were when the 1970s began. Rather than leading to more violent crime, as the left would suggest, the existence of millions more privately owned guns correlated with a lower rate of violent crime. On December 4, 2013, Breitbart News reported a Congressional Research Service report showing the number of privately owned guns jumped from 192 million firearms in 1994 to 310 million in 2009. The study showed that the firearm-related murder and non-negligible homicide fell sharply as the number of guns in private hands expanded. And you can bet that number is probably that 310 million in 2009. Number one, it's probably doubled since. And even that would be low, because this 310 million number was, I'm sure, is only at 310 because of underreporting. Because if someone came asking me how many guns I had, my answer would be none. I wouldn't.
It's almost like the criminals don't like tangling with someone who can potentially fight back.
What? Are you sure?
No.
What? That doesn't make any sense. The news says that, the streets are awash in blood. I'm sure I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what next year, seeing what 2019's numbers are, because, remember, this has been a summer of carnage, and, according to the media, our streets are pretty much running red with blood, and everyone's afraid to walk outside their homes, and it's just dogs and cats living together and all kinds of horrible shit. So
yeah, especially Budget Street. I saw a picture on Instagram the other day. It's awful.
Oh yeah?
That's what you said.
Well, it is horrible. Crime is rampant. No,
it is.
The whole thing proves what we already know. As a matter of fact, I think John Lott wrote a book with the title that says it all. More guns, less crime. The more people that are able to defend themselves, the more people that have the ability to resist the criminal, the less likely the criminal is to try to target them. It's that simple. I talk to these people every day, and they tell me that, they're less likely to go try and attack somebody if they know that they have weapons and can fight back. That's common sense.
We don't talk about common sense anymore, because the people who use common sense as a defense, are using the absence of.
Well,
yeah, yes. True common sense is more of a superpower nowadays than it is common.
Yeah, exactly.
Common sense is entirely uncommon.
You might not want to mention that one. Just FYI.
But this data from the FBI also sparked an interesting article in the New York Times, of all places. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. New York Times. Murder rate drops across the U.S., but not in all large cities. Think about where we're talking about here when we get to the end. The decline in killings and property crimes in 2018 continues a decades-long trend, according to FBI data. By Timothy Williams from September 30th, 2019. Violent crime in the United States, including murders, declined in 2018 for a second consecutive year, according to FBI data released on Monday. The murder rate dropped by 6%, affected by significant declines in killings in Baltimore and Chicago. At the same time, more rapes were reported nationwide. Overall, the nation's crime rate decreased by 6.5%, led by a 6.9% in decline in the property crime rate. It was the 16th year in a row in which property crimes dropped, the FBI said. The decline in overall crime continues a decades-long trend, but follows a 2-year uptick in violent crime in 2015 and 2016 that raised concerns about the possibility of a broad shift in the pattern. This largely shows that we are not standing on the precipice of a national crime wave, Ames Grauert, senior counsel for the Justice Program at the Brennan Center for Justice at New York University School of Law, said of the latest crime statistics. A number of large cities that had significant increases in murders in recent years had fewer killings in 2018, according to the FBI data. In Baltimore, the murder rate declined by 9%. Well, that's good, and that's probably a huge amount, too. In cities with populations of more than 1 million people, it fell by 8.5% in 2018, including 14% in Chicago. But several large cities saw their murder rates rise in 2018, including Washington, which had a 36% increase, and Philadelphia, which had a 10% rise. Although crime has continued to fall, the number of rapes reported in 2018 increased by 2.7%. It was the only violent crime category that rose last year, according to the FBI report. Criminologists said it was not clear whether more sexual assaults were occurring or more people were reporting assaults amid the Me Too movement, which is a very good point. I'm sure that had something to do with greater reporting instead of more instances. But that's just a hunch on my part. Further complicating the results, the FBI has revised the way it classified rape to include males as victims and to expand the definition of rape to include types of attacks not previously counted. That would also account for the expansion of those numbers. Since the FBI changed its guidelines in 2013, the number of reported rapes has grown by more than 18%, according to the data. A similar increase in rapes is documented in the annual National Crime Victimization Survey, which was released this month. That survey asked people if they had been victims of crime during the past year, regardless of whether they had reported the incidents to law enforcement. So there you go. Crime is on the decline. Even in some cities like Chicago, although let's just to remind ourselves so that we're not starting to feel warm and fuzzy about Chicago. Oh, I don't have that bookmarked. I need to bookmark that.
You gotta say it like Rick does. Chicago.
My question is also, like they said, they reclassified and redefined some of the rape stuff. Reporting or reclassifying or otherwise manipulating for one reason or another.
That is a very, very good point. I'm quite sure that those numbers are being manipulated to make themselves look better. Let's take a look here in Chicago as of, right now. Week in progress, 10:29 to 10:05. 4 people killed, 36 shot and wounded. Total homicides, 5. October to date, same numbers. The year to date, 368 shot and killed, 1,778 shot and wounded, 2,146 total shot, 402 homicides in Chicago so far this year. So even though those numbers may be on the decline, at least for 2016 and 2017, which I already knew that those numbers were dropping, and that's a good thing, but they're still pretty doggone horrible. still pretty crap. So, yeah, keep an eye on that, folks. Let's see. Where are we going next? I gotta get into my next topic.
We have no idea where you're going.
I know.
No idea.
Unless you read the title of the unless you read the title of the show.
I just clicked the link.
Gotcha. Well, FBI stats prove Hoplophobes wrong. Ohio 349, more. So we're moving on to the Ohio General Assembly. See, despite the fact that the numbers are showing that crime is on the decline, that more people are killed with fists and feet than there are with rifles, the gun grabbers don't care. They're going to press forward with their agenda one way or another, dancing in the blood of any tragedy that they can to gain political headway. Case in point being this little wonderful gem here from my own fair, wonderful Buckeye State. House Bill 349 in the Ohio General Assembly. Primary sponsors, Casey Weinstein, District 37. Co-sponsors, all these persons over here. I'm glad that my representative isn't one of them. What this is, the short title, is to prohibit the possession of large capacity magazines. Oh, but wait. There's more. Current version of the text. Let's see. Here we go. As introduced, if you look at laws, when they introduce a bill, you'll notice that the stuff that's underlined, that's what is changing about the law. So this is a change to some sections of the Ohio Revised Code. Says it's a bill to amend section blah, 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 to enact sections this of the Revised Code to generally prohibit a person from possessing a large capacity magazine and to establish a large capacity magazine registry. So, it defines a large capacity magazine as, well, first it establishes a large capacity magazine registry, and talks about how it's going to establish and maintain the registry of magazines. Let's see, where else? Where is it? So let's see exactly what they're trying to tell us is a large capacity magazine means any firearm magazine, belt, drum, feed strip, or similar device that has the capacity of or can be readily restored or converted to accept more than 10 rounds of ammunition. Large capacity magazine does not mean any of the following: a feeding device that has been permanently altered so that it cannot accommodate more than 10 rounds, a 22 caliber tube ammunition feeding device. Oh wow, my Marlin Model 60 safe. How about that? A tube magazine that is
for now.
Yeah.
For now.
That is contained in a lever action. Oh, so my Marlin 336 or no, not 336. I have a 94. My Marlin 94 is good to go. Okay. Magazine that's permanently inoperable, and no person shall possess a large capacity magazine. They shall not purchase, keep for sale, offer, or expose for sale, transfer, distribute, or import a large capacity magazine. But all that doesn't apply to officers, agents, or employees of the U.S., this or any other state or political subdivision, blah, 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 blah. Basically, cops, importers, and manufacturers and dealers that are licensed under the GCA of 1968, warehouses and businesses that ship it and whatnot, persons who have registered or who are eligible to register a large capacity magazine with the Bureau of Criminal Identification and Investigation. Yeah. So they want you to either turn them in for destruction or register your so-called large capacity magazines. But you know what that really is? It's got nothing to do with magazines. Has nothing to do with magazines. I mean, we all know that these gun control isn't about guns. It's always about control. It's always about something else. It's never the stated intent. This isn't about the stated intent of registering large capacity magazines, because I know that does jack shit. They already know that. What this is a backdoor gun registration. Because if you're registering 30-round AK-47 magazines, if you're registering 30-round AR magazines, if you're registering your 15-round Glock 19 magazines, if you're registering, your 33-round Glock mags or your 30-round PMR 30 magazines or whatnot, then they know you have those firearms. This is a de facto backdoor gun registry and nothing but. I have, of course, called my state representative and several times actually, expressing my concern about this and letting him know that my expectation is that he will violently and vehemently oppose this at every turn. And if you're an Ohioan, you should probably be on the phone to your representative right now. Leave a message, call, snail mail, email, all that good stuff that I'm going to talk about later at the end. You need to be doing this. What do you guys think? Do you think I'm kind of paranoid on this? Is it just a magazine registry, or do you think that it's there's more to it, as I said?
Well, I like the way they worded it so that they excluded law enforcement and the FUDs. I mean, they always put all that stuff in there. They're very specific about certain guns that that a bunch of people are going, oh, my hunting guns are covered. Well, I don't care about it,
Exactly. They're smart. They know they know FUD apathy.
Yeah, backdoor registration, as well as what often comes next after they get a full registry of who has what.
You know what comes next.
I know my tinfoil hat's showing a little bit, but if we look at history.
The same thing that always follows registration, Pinky. Confiscation. Always. And then we know what follows confiscation as well.
Shall not be infringed.
Well, my shall not be infringed is right at the front of this because I'm not going... If this passes, I don't think it will, but if it does, I'm not registering shit. Flat out. They're not going to get a damn thing from me. I'm not turning in shit. I'm not registering shit. I'm not complying with shit. Ever. So take that for whatever it's worth. I suspect that all my stuff will get lost or stolen or whatever. It's going to be horrible.
You too?
If they pass this, it would be just like the bump stock thing. There's going to be like 3 people in Ohio that'll show up to register a magazine or something, and that's it. And they're going to go, we don't understand why it didn't work. We put words on a piece of paper.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's where, of course, only the law-abiding will actually be affected by this anyhow. I mean, what was it here? It's a couple weeks ago now. But that's where there was a felony stop in Texas, I believe it was, the San Antonio area. And in the person's car, they found a AR-style rifle that had been stolen from a local PD cruiser sometime before. So I really don't think the people that are causing the problems are really going to give a rat's about whatever they write down on that paper.
Nope. Nothing.
Not surprised.
So, it doesn't matter whether they're shown to be wrong because they'll just keep going. And that's because, as I said, it's not about what they say it's about. Gun control is never about the gun. It's always about control. And that's that. Yeah, Pink Panther says the Ohio Dems in the House don't have the numbers to even get this past committee. I don't believe they will. But stranger things have happened. We have a ostensibly
you have a lot of turncoat Republicans.
We have an ostensibly Republican governor who, so far as governor, I have to give him credit. He had a pretty darn good record as Attorney General when it came to firearms. He did. So far, the crap that's falling out of his mouth on firearms and the Second Amendment as governor, I don't know.
Regardless if they have the votes to pass it or not, the fact that they've got the gall to even propose it, tells me that they're not afraid enough of the voting public, and that needs to change. I I don't advocate people doing anything illegal by any means, but that's where because they're not our leaders, they are our representatives, and they need to every day be concerned about their jobs, and what they're going to do to keep said job.
That's why when we have these rallies in our state capitals, people need to get off their asses and go. That's why with this rally by the way, the rally for your Second Amendment rights on the west lawn of the Capitol in Washington, D.C., November 2nd, 2019, 1 to 4 p.m. Be there if you can. If you can't be there, if you have time commitments that preclude you from coming, I understand that. Everybody has a real life. But if you can't be there, maybe throw a few bucks to somebody who can be there, who has the time and might not have the money. That way you're helping to support the cause, and you're contributing to allowing our voice to be heard by the people that really need to hear it. As they say at Gun Owners of America, they don't see the light till they feel the heat. And it's time to turn up the flame, folks. It's absolutely time to turn up the flame. Figuratively speaking, of course. I'm not advocating burning anybody yet.
I'm surprised you're so calm and composed.
Well, hey, I'm trying.
Normally, it'd be, you'd be less calm and less composed about all this.
Well, I'm trying not to win that wonderful award from Midnight anymore.
Yeah. The wound up.
Wound up some bitch. I'm trying not to do that.
He said it, not me.
Yeah, last week I'm pretty sure it went to roll call, but
it should probably always go to roll call.
Probably.
That's in the rants and raves last week. I only caught part of it, but that's for I'm not sure what nights I had going. I think you're still coming back from GRPC, if I remember correctly.
I was.
Boy, it's been a long time since I've seen him that wound up.
And this week, the reason why I wasn't on this one, because I was downloading every single video that was uploaded to GunTube. So
yeah, I mean, seriously, there's a case right there of somebody who has the time to come, but they're trying to make it financially. Help Clover out. Help G out. G's selling the Glocktober patches over on gear websites. I bought someone who has the time. Please put the link in the chat. I bought one because number one, they're I must support all things Glocktober, and number two, they're pretty dang cool patches. So
I'm disappointed in you.
What?
Supporting Glocktober.
Yes, I'm a Glock guy. I like Glocks. As Paul Harrell says about some things, they fit my hand better.
I'm so disappointed in you.
I don't own a Glock yet, but it's on the list.
I was going to say, are you allowed out there in California?
Gen 3.
Now, see, that's my favorite Glock, too, is the Gen 3. Like them. Some people hate the finger grooves. I love them. It fits my hand perfectly.
That's where I've yet to have a chance to fire a Glock. I've only held one, G17. And I wasn't a fan of what it felt like when I first picked it up, but it's one of those. Give me a few hundred rounds, I'm sure I can get used to it.
Yeah. I like them. I know a lot of people don't, and that's fine. It's the important thing is that you carry something, as far as I'm concerned, that you have something to defend yourself with and you become proficient with it. I think that's the important thing. As long as it's a reliably operating firearm, I don't care what it is. I don't care what caliber it is.
So no Sky or Jimenez?
Hey, if your Sky or Jimenez runs, let it. Because my Sky ran.
Okay. I just those were the two brands I hadn't heard a whole lot of good things about. So
my Sky ran. I did. I think with the Skies, it's a case of it's not going to last through 5,000 or 10,000 rounds. It's not that kind of pistol. It's meant to be carried a lot and shot a little. It just enough to work the bugs out, get it to the break-in, and then, you want to get it past the break-in, but not to the break. If that makes any sense.
I mean, that's really I had a friend of, actually fiance's mom's boyfriend was asking me about a couple weeks back because he was looking at a 9mm. Like, hey, this one's like $180. Like, what is it? It's a Yeet. And like, oh, it's a High Point. Like, yeah. It's like, you know what? Are they any good? Like, tell them they run. They're kind of a brick, but you know, if you want something that runs, it will do the job for you.
Midnight says freaking skies are going for 149 right now. Yeah, I know.
There's a reason.
Yeah. I know a lot of people don't like them. I gotta wonder though if the CPX3, the 380 version, will not. I gotta wonder if it has the problem with the pins walking out of the frames like the 9mm does, since the 380 isn't quite as stout as the 9. You know, I just I kind of gotta wonder
could be
if
the case. You know, wouldn't be the first gun that was originally designed for one caliber, worked fine, but then was upped to another caliber due to popular demand and ended up not working as good because of it. Look at the original 40 cal Glocks.
This will be a case of the opposite. One that was designed for a 9mm, and then when it's downsized to the 380, works better. I think. I don't know. I have to break down and buy one and check it out. Because they did redesign their lockup system and whatnot for the 380, so maybe that's really going to make a difference. I don't know. I have to try it. I'm still kind of butthurt because they wouldn't let me do a booth review with them at NRA. So yeah, I'm still kind of butthurt about that. So I haven't bought one. I gotta admit it. I'm a little butthurt. So yeah. Speaking of butthurt, Joe Biden, again, despite the facts and figures and all that good garbage, Biden wants to give assault weapon owners two options. Sell your guns to the feds or register. This is from Fox News. This is by Paul Steinhauser. As part of his plan to curb gun violence in America, former Vice President Joe Biden is proposing that owners of assault-style weapons either sell their firearms through a voluntary buyback program or register their weapons with the government. The proposal is part of a wide-ranging plan the Democratic presidential candidate unveiled Wednesday ahead of his appearance at a gun safety forum in Nevada. I didn't have the stomach to watch all that garbage. Did any of you guys? Could you bring yourself to watch that?
That would be a no. And I've been out of cell phone and TV quite a bit over the last week, so that's where I haven't caught a lot of the stuff that you guys have been talking about recently.
Yeah, I couldn't. So the one med that I'm on kind of makes me nauseous as it is, so I didn't want to exacerbate that. Hello, Ashley at Gunstreamer. Glad to see you hopping in out there in the chat. Let's see. Where are we at? Biden says he's coming for assault weapons. Oh, he must feel like Beta O'Dork. Let's see. Biden, like many of his rivals for the nomination, is calling for a ban on assault-style weapons. For current owners who don't sell them back, the former vice president proposes that such weapons be regulated under the National Firearms Act, which was enacted in the 1930s to cut down on gangland violence during the Prohibition era. The Biden campaign, in announcing the plan, said the National Firearms Act requires individuals possessing machine guns, silencers, and short-barreled rifles to undergo a background check and register those weapons with the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives. Due to these requirements, such weapons are rarely used in crimes. Well, it could also be that they're like $4 million for one. The former vice president's plan also calls for banning high-capacity magazines, as well as assault-style weapons, closing loopholes in background checks before firearms purchases, banning the online sale of guns, eliminating legal protections that currently protect gun manufacturers from being held legally liable if their weapons are used in mass shootings, and allowing states to implement red flag laws. E-I-E-I-O. He just kind of wants to throw everything at it.
That's where I read, only had time to read part of an article here not too long ago, but that's where when, I don't know if it was one of the states or federal level, they're talking about gun, with the red flag laws. and they were talking about excluding people on lists of gang members because, if I remember correctly, it's about the list of potential gang members could be incorrect because the criteria to put someone on that list may not be very good. Would that not also be applicable to everybody else because of all of the how many, what percentage of the delay and denials through the NIC system are already false because of some issue? So I can only imagine that would, that same logic could be applied to everybody else as well.
That is crazy talk. Crazy talk. I mean, why would we want to put poor innocent urban youth on a on some kind of list? I mean, that's just horrible. They're not, going out killing people all the time and whatnot. Crazy. Because that would mean that the policies in place in the areas where these gangbangers live, the cities that are run by who is that runs those cities? Oh, Democrats! For decades have run these cities into the freaking ground. Their policies have resulted in all this death and destruction and the shattering of the American family in their areas, and have resulted in this street violent thug culture that's been killing each other. Most of the crime in this country is drug-related gang violence. So to say, this whole thing where it says Biden's plan also takes aim at urban gun violence with an 8-year, $900 million initiative aimed at the 40 cities across the country with the highest homicide levels. The campaign estimates the program could save more than 12,000 lives over 8 years, but yet they won't put gangbangers on a red flag list. What the hell does he propose to do? Put more gun control in these cities? I guarantee you that these 40 cities across the country with the highest homicide levels already have the most strict gun control measures. So for him to do all this, see, now you got me worked up. Shit. I was trying not to do that.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're working on that award.
The day is mine.
So these guys so Biden's, it's just, I can't stand it. Biden's so full of shit, his eyes are brown.
Well, what do you expect?
Anyhow, so despite facts and figures and the news that crime is on the downturn, doesn't mean squat. Because these people want to do what they want to do because they know what's best for you. They know better than you do.
I mean,
they know how to arrange your life because you can't be trusted with your freedom.
Biden has a better chance because Bernie ended up in the hospital, so
well, yeah,
got to keep an eye on these guys.
I wonder what Bernie had on Hillary.
That's where, with how things are going in that whole campaign and everything I'm hearing, of course, none of it's confirmed. It sounds like maybe the higher ups have already kind of selected which one of those candidates they want to put on the 2020 list. So I don't know how much of a chance the old vice president even has at this point.
None. We already know that the DNC is going to pick the Democrat candidate. The whole voting thing in the primaries is just for show. It is a dog and pony show. They already know who they wanted. They wanted Hill Dog. Hill Dog got it. That's why they have this corrupt superdelegate bullcrap that the Democrats play with. That's why they completely stole the primary victory from Sanders. And I'm not a Bernie Sanders fan. I'm not. But if that was the will of the Democrat electorate, then he should have been the candidate last time. Now, I'm glad that he wasn't, because he's just batshit crazy too. He's just not as evil and corrupt as Hillary is.
What?
Yeah, I think Bernie's just batshit crazy. I don't think he's deliberately evil and corrupt like Clinton is. Although I have absolutely no evidence.
I don't know if I agree on the.
I have
I don't know if I
absolutely
agree
no
on the
evidence of
corrupt
anything
part.
to back up my assertion. I know nothing.
Okay,
And
Schultz.
I don't know if he's any less corrupt per se,
Well, that's true.
but I think I may be able to agree on the less evil part because, as far as we know, no one tied to him has suicided themselves with two
This
shots
is
in the back of the
true.
head.
Yeah. There
No,
hasn't
no,
been.
no suicide by a cop or either. So
Yeah, there's not a
Yeah.
rash of suicides in the Bernie Sanders camp. People connected to him don't have this mysterious way of dropping like flies that we know of. Not that I'm saying that, again, for the record, I need to state that I have absolutely no evidence that the Clintons have done anything untoward and are nothing, and I have no evidence to suggest that they are anything other than fine, upstanding American citizens and patriots who love this country. Yeah.
I'll second that.
But it's not all doom and gloom. There are some lawmakers out there who seem to have some sort of a clue. This is from the Second Amendment Daily News. Michigan lawmaker, let's make gun-free zones liable if people are hurt. Lansing, Michigan. A Republican state representative from Michigan has introduced a bill that would hold private businesses and government offices liable if anyone is injured in a shooting on their property. State Representative Gary Eisen of St. Clair Township recently introduced House Bill 4975. The bill would change the law that currently grants immunity from lawsuits if somebody is injured on government property where guns are forbidden. Eisen also sponsored another bill, House Bill 4976, which took the idea one step further. House Bill 4976 would make a government, individual, or private business responsible for the safety of the people who enter it if they've declared that property to be a gun-free zone. Essentially, if you're denying the citizen the right to protect themselves, then you are responsible for protecting them instead. When interviewed, Eisen said that his goal was to make these entities either reverse their policies on gun-free zones or to pay out of pocket to hire armed security guards. I have to presume that no one will have a gun inside and I'll be safe, Eisen said. They're telling me, don't worry, Mr. Eisen, this is a gun-free zone. We will be perfectly safe in here. We know that is not the case. Sitting ducks in gun-free zones. When not spending time at the Capitol in Lansing, Michigan, Eisen is a firearms instructor who teaches concealed carry classes for those seeking their carry license. During those classes, Eisen's students often ask what they should do when they enter a gun-free zone. Many in the class are aware, as are most gun owners, that 98% of mass public shootings happen in gun-free zones. We call them killing zones, not gun-free zones, Eisen said. Not surprisingly, the Brady campaign nor Giffords returned emails seeking comment on. That should have been not surprisingly. Neither the Brady campaign nor Giffords returned emails seeking comments on the bills. Who edited that? Eisen makes a point, and it's an uncomfortable one for the anti-gun crowd. If government offices or private citizens won't allow us to defend ourselves, will they take responsibility for our safety? Now, I have said before, back when the Virginia Beach shooting happened, that I believe this should be the law of the land. If you are going to prevent someone from being responsible for your own safety, for their own safety, then you must assume responsibility for it. That's my opinion. I know that there are those out here who feel differently. So please discuss.
Yeah, Squib, you're probably not from the same township, but you are from Michigan. Maybe you can chime in on that.
Oh, I know where St. Clair Township is. It's about 90 minutes away, but yeah, it's a rural area up there. It's near the Canadian border, near Port Huron. This is good. I hope it gains some traction. I hope they use some examples. I know Tennessee passed a law like this, and I think another state did too. But overall, my message is: suck it, Walmart. You know, I believe that. Look, I don't like getting into a business's, well, I guess business, and having more government regulation than there is that's necessary. But we have OSHA, and we have other things, building codes and other things that businesses have to abide by that residential areas don't. For example, If you have a business and you have chemicals on that business, if you have over a certain amount of certain kinds of chemicals, you have to disclose that information to the fire department, and you may have to pay an annual fee to the fire department. Whereas you could fill your garage with 55-gallon drums of gasoline, and because it's a house, you don't have to do that. Or like a business has, fire suppression, and you don't have to have that in your house. And there's other things like that that businesses have to do. It's the cost of doing business. When you have a commercial building, an institutional building, an industrial building, when you have an area where the public is at, you have to follow certain safety guidelines that you don't necessarily have to have at your home. This falls into that as far as I'm concerned. When you're telling me that my state law says I can open or conceal carry, and you're not going to let me do that here, you are putting my safety in risk the same way you would as if you had a fire exit that wasn't marked or blocked, or you didn't have your fire suppression system tested annually like it's required by NFPA or whatever it is. So I agree, this should be the law of the land, but we should approach this from the same standpoint that you have to have fire exits clearly marked. You have to allow, if the state law allows for you to open or conceal carry, then you have to allow that. Otherwise, you assume responsibility. If there was a mass panic to get out of the store, and the doors were shut, and they're marked exit, right? You're supposed to be able to open them from the inside out, not necessarily from the outside in. That is code. That is national building code. And you can't get out. There's going to be a lawsuit. Why can't there be a lawsuit if they say no guns in here and the shooter goes, perfect, easy pickings? There should be.
Now, possibly I'm wrong here, but I thought it was you that was taking the other side of this discussion back during the Virginia Beach shooting thing. That you telling me that that private businesses, whether they're right or wrong, should have the ability to make those determinations for themselves, and that this would be an onerous burden on the small mom and pop.
I don't believe I would say something like that. If I did, I was absolutely wrong. Here's the thing. I know that there are businesses out there that complain about the cost of doing business. Okay, you're probably in the wrong business, or you're in the wrong area, or you're selling the wrong stuff, your business model is wrong, or you're just not very good at running a business. Most businesses that I've dealt with throughout my life make money. Now, when the economy is bad, nobody's making money. And if you're selling widgets in a place that nobody's buying widgets, you're not going to make any money. If you're fleecing your company constantly, you're not making, whatever it is. There are ways you can run your business into the ground, whether you're a one-person operation or whether you're a multi-billion-dollar international company. But businesses have money. Don't let them fool you. They've got money. The things that they pay for every day just to keep their doors open, we couldn't do that to live in a house. But they got money rolling in. So, no, I'm not one that, and don't get me wrong, there's a certain amount of regulation that I go, okay, this is a little bit too much. But there are certain safety things that you have to do. You certain kinds of insurance that you have to have. There's all kinds of things that you have to do when you own a business. When you go into business to make money, serious money. It doesn't happen on day one. It doesn't happen on year one. But as your company grows, it's a lot easier to just absorb these costs, and you don't even think twice about it. They pinch pennies here or there, or sell stock, or do all kinds of ridiculous stuff to cut costs. But if you try to violate government regulation, especially safety regulation, if you don't get caught, one of your disgruntled employees will burn you on it. And I guarantee, would you rather pay $5,000 to have this thing inspected annually, or would you rather pay a $25,000 fine to OSHA? Well, what's going to happen if they make this a law and the business goes, screw that, we're still going to say no guns in here? And that's exactly where the mass murderer goes. It's good. Sue them out of existence. So if I did say that, that was, I don't know. I've never, I don't know. I must have been having a bad day that day if I said that. And I'm not anti-business. Don't get me wrong. I'm not anti-business. If your business has been around for a long time and you're not making any money, you need to take a look inward and see what you're doing wrong. Maybe you're selling the wrong stuff. Maybe you're in the wrong look, whatever it is. But I'm telling you, businesses make serious money.
Warsaw, glad you could hop on. What is it that you would like to add to this discussion, sir?
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Honestly, people do need to be held reliable with these gun-free zones, because more death has been proven time and time again No matter what law they pass, they cannot prevent death. And honestly, the government's job is not to prevent death. They cannot be playing God and think, oh, a law is going to prevent this, a law is going to prevent that. It's been proven time and time again. All right, we're human beings. We're bound to die no matter what, natural or otherwise.
Well, yeah. I would hope that it would be at the age of 85 with a 25-year-old beside me, but other than that, yeah, I want to have the ability to stave off the Reaper as long as I can.
You wouldn't know what to do with a 25-year-old like that.
Hell, I wouldn't know what to do with a 25-year-old now.
Yeah, 'cause that's where having a relationship with someone young enough to be your kid or your grandkid, to me, is a little on the odd side regardless.
Yeah. But, my whole point was that, old.
To me, it just seems they're escaping reality.
Yeah, old and doing something stupid, I guess it was my point, because I would rather be able to defend myself and prevent that from happening. And again, back to the whole point, the whole the topic, if you prevent someone from exercising responsibility for themselves, then you are responsible for them. I mean, that's just, again, going back, I hate using this phrase because it isn't, but it just seems common sense to me. Common sense.
If you are going down aisle 6 and, I don't know, some jerk from Maryland has decided to dump all the mayonnaise into the aisle, and you happen to slip and fall in it, while you were just shopping for some mustard innocently, you telling me you're not going to sue the grocery store?
Damn
you
right.
will. So why can't you sue them because they said, I'm sorry, your state law doesn't apply in here because we're a private property owner?
Damn right.
Okay. I'm telling you, I've had to deal with regulation. I've had to deal with safety. I've had to be responsible for the safety of hundreds of people. I've had to do all kinds of stuff related to this at a business. It is entirely possible to balance it. And don't get me wrong, when you say people can come into the business with a gun because the state law allows it, I understand you also taking on the responsibility that what if they do employ it in a self-defense and they miss and they hit somebody?
Well, I think that would be on the end users.
I don't know. The business would still get sued, but I tell you what, I'd rather have a fighting chance than no chance at all.
Yeah. Hey, in Michigan, do no guns allowed signs carry the force of law, or is it merely a trespassing charge if they ask you to leave and you don't?
Precisely. Yeah, trespassing. That sign means nothing. So if they don't know you have that gun, it's that you're concealed carrying, not open carrying, and you don't disclose that to anybody, they'll never know. And there's nothing they can do to you.
The argument could be made that the business owner, in a state where that's the case, the business owner is not preventing you from carrying a weapon to defend yourself. The business owner is merely stating their preference. You have chosen to disarm yourself. See, places like here in Ohio, those signs carry the force of law. It's a criminal charge in and of itself to ignore those. So here,
I'll use the Ninth Circuit. I'm sorry.
Here in Ohio, I can see where a law like that might be really useful. Where, okay, if you're preventing me from legally, if you are disarming me, if you're forcing me to be unarmed against my will, of course, I guess the argument could be made that I chose to come in there, so maybe that just throws my thought completely off track. Never mind. I didn't think that went through.
So the Ninth Circuit said that Hawaii is a may-issue state. However, they haven't issued a concealed carry permit since like 2009 or something, right? So because they don't want to issue concealed carry permits, they have to offer open carry by default.
Correct.
Okay. So in Michigan, you can open carry without paying for any fee, any permit, anything. You just open carry.
Same here in Ohio.
Period. If you want to conceal carry in Michigan, you have to take a class, you have to pay a fee, you have to get a picture, fingerprints, you have to wait, you have to renew it, blah, 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 blah. Why do I have to go pay a fee, take a class, get fingerprints, take a picture, carry a card, renew it every so many years, blah, 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 and carry in a manner that I consider less effective when the state law says I can carry in a manner that I prefer, that I find more effective without paying any fees? So I just kind of look at the whole, you have either or here. If the state said, sorry, no open carry, we're concealed carry only, and too bad, suck it up and pay the fees. Okay, but we don't have that here. We have the option to open carry free of charge. So, I kind of look at it kind of like the whole, you have to offer one or the other. And if I choose to take the free option, or I choose to take the option that, I know there's a lot of people out there say open carry is stupid. Well, I just say you're ignorant. You do you and I'll do me. And I prefer open carry over. I've done both. And I'm not against concealed carry at all. That's the other thing. People think when I'm pro open, they think I'm against it. It's like, no, you're really double ignorant, okay? But for me, open carry, I think, is a more viable option. Now, would I open carry an AK in Walmart? No. But I would open carry a handgun in Walmart. Do you know why I don't? Do you want to know why I don't? It's not because of some law or some rule. It's because I can't legally open carry when I'm driving in my vehicle. I have to put it in a case. I have to get out of the car. I have to take it out of the case. I have to put it in the holster, and then I have to walk into the store. If I could open carry while I'm driving around in my vehicle in the state of Michigan, you're damn right I would open carry in Walmart.
The problem is that the guy that did that was just a jackass, and he ruined it for everybody. I mean, that's why we can't have nice things.
He did, but Walmart didn't have to react that way. They could have said, okay, look, don't open carry a long gun. Open carry a handgun, But no, they didn't. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I just compromise? I know people don't like compromise. Well, there's an example of compromise that would have worked.
But
yeah,
it was coming from Walmart anyway, because they jumped in bed with, they're one of the charter members of this new Bloomberg anti-gun responsible store owner, whatever the hell it's called, bullshit. So, they jumped in bed with Bloomberg and his billions anyhow.
Did you read Travis T's comment about Florida? I like that. I like that a lot.
In Florida, if you miss and hurt, kill a bystander while trying to stop a forcible felony, the person who was committing the felony is charged for the injury or death of the bystander. Good. That's called felony murder here in Ohio. Same here.
That's right. I know here in California, open carry of any kind is not legal. And that's for, there's supposed to be, the ability to get, concealed permits, but we're a county by county. They're Sacramento County, like where I'm at, and some of the ones north of here, you can get them relatively easily. There's a couple of the counties down in Southern California. Pretty much, if you're not a, active duty cop or a sitting judge, pretty much issue it to you. So that's where, it's really state by state and county by county on some of that stuff.
Hey, it happens. I'm fortunate that I live someplace where one of the options is free.
But as for the topic of that article we're talking about, where the article, any place that says, okay, you cannot come in here with the means to protect yourself, to me, it makes sense that, okay, well, then you're taking the responsibility for the people that have entered your business. Because that's where, like Squib was saying with some of the safety features and with OSHA and everything else, if you don't offer an escape route for fire or anything else, then you're responsible for anybody that gets injured or killed because of it. So I don't see why it can't be made the same way with firearms.
Yeah, and I think it should be. It's all about responsibility. If you're preventing someone else from being responsible, for themselves, you are in turn accepting responsibility for them. That's how I see it. All right, so let's move on to something a little bit lighter. Kind of. This is it's kind of almost a self-defense shout-out, but not quite. In that it's resulted in the death of the bad guy, but it was from another bad guy. This is definitely a case of stupid is as stupid does, and it's a perfect illustration of why your booger hook needs to be off the bang switch, even if you're a criminal scumbag. This is from the New York Post from October 2nd, 2019. Robbery suspect allegedly shot fellow thief while pistol whipping duo's victim. Two men in Queens were allegedly robbing another man at gunpoint when one crook fatally shot the other in the head while pistol whipping the mugging victim, police said Wednesday. The pair approached a 38-year-old man outside a building on 160th Street near Tuskegee Airmen Way in Jamaica around 1:15 p.m. Tuesday and told him to hand over his $225 necklace, police said. One of the suspects pulled out a gun and told the man, "You want to live?" according to police. He then took a hospital where he was pronounced dead. The armed man, 46, was in police custody Wednesday and is expected to be charged in both the mugging and the shooting, sources said. So this is definitely a case of play stupid games and win stupid prizes. So, yeah, General Relativity says, I love it when bad guys kill each other. Yeah, me too. Because out of the three people involved in that who could have been shot, I'm glad it was one of those two.
Does that save on the paperwork for law enforcement somehow?
No, I'm sure it's different paperwork. I mean, it saves that they don't have to do the shooting incident, an officer involved shooting incident, but it's still a lot of paperwork and crap. I know
it sounds like it probably saved the taxpayers a little bit of money. You know, because they didn't have to prosecute the second guy.
Yep, there is that. That's good. It did save the taxpayers of New York City a ton of money for the prosecution and then the warehousing and care of that fellow.
You always have to look for that silver lining.
That's right. Always. Now,
wait, did you call it warehousing?
Yes, I called it warehousing. Because that's a lot of times it's all it is. I mean, they're not doing anything to do any real rehabilitation, any real treatment and whatnot. It's warehousing. And even if they are trying to do some of those programs, the offenders aren't paying any attention whatsoever to it and aren't trying to work the program. Some are. There are some successes, and that's why it's worth doing. However, by and large, the vast majority, it's just warehousing.
There's actually, that's what I've heard it referred to as, sometimes with, especially the petty criminals being on the inside, they come out with a PhD in crime. That's where, Dillinger, back in the day. He originally went into, penitentiary as some petty criminal and was in, with some of the hardcore guys of his day, came out, and knew exactly what to do, and ended up running, his own successful gang for quite some time afterwards.
Yeah. Yep. Well, let's go ahead and move on to what is Roll Call 219's favorite segment, the Self Defense Shoutouts. For those of you who aren't familiar with the show, who are new, or who have not stuck around to the end yet, Self Defense Shoutouts are not where I'm reveling in the death or injury of the bad guy. Self Defense Shoutouts are where I am reveling in the fact that the good guy had the means, method, and opportunity to defend themselves against the depredations of the bad guy. So, moving on to that, let's go to this one. The first one from Fox6now.com. Police. 1 killed, 1 hurt in exchange of gunfire during home invasion near 60th and Silver Spring. This is from September 30th, 2019 by Brett Lemoyne. Milwaukee. 1 person was killed and a second person was injured in a home invasion shooting near 60th Street and Silver Spring Drive Sunday afternoon, September 29th. According to police, around 2:30 p.m., an 18-year-old man identified by police as Sean Pierce entered a home to conduct a home invasion, and there was an exchange of gunfire with an 18-year-old man in the home. Pierce was killed, and the other man suffered a gunshot wound to the leg. He was taken to the hospital for treatment. I heard 2 loud shots, but they're saying it was more, said Melanie Rattler, neighbor. I told my kids to get down. I told them to get down, always. A large crowd gathered near the 60th and Silver Spring Drive, becoming emotional as news of Pierce's death spread. Sorry for their loss, said Rattler. Court records showed Pierce had a criminal history that included vehicle theft and fleeing police, convicted in October 2018 in Washington County. On Sunday morning, that's something completely... Why would they... I hate it when news stories do that. They put something completely unrelated to the story in the last paragraph. That's just idiotic. But at any rate, there is one less future warehousee. Up next, from chron.com, I guess it's the Houston Chronicle. Come on. Conroe area business owner... Freaking ads. Conroe area business owner shoots, kills burglar with crowbar. From Thursday, October 3rd, 2019. By Catherine Dominguez. The Montgomery County Sheriff's Office, along with the Montgomery County District Attorney's Office, are investigating an early morning shooting that left one man dead. According to Assistant District Attorney Donna Berkey, a man and his son were at a business on Texas 105 near Crystal Forest Drive when they heard glass breaking around 2 a.m. Wednesday. The business owner had been burglarized before, so he locked his son inside and went out to check what was happening, Berkey said. Once outside, the business owner was confronted by a man with a crowbar, and the business owner fired a handgun several times, striking the man at least twice. Berkey said the man ran about 150 feet before collapsing. The business owner called 911, and the responding deputy found the man, Thomas Dillard, 39, deceased along Texas 105. Berkey said no charges have been filed in the case, but added the case would be presented to a Montgomery County grand jury. The names of the business owner and the business have not been released. According to information from the DA's office, a business owner, regardless of whether they are licensed to carry, is in lawful possession of a gun because of the Castle Doctrine. The Castle Doctrine is an exception to a rule in place in some jurisdictions that requires a defendant to retreat before using deadly force in self-defense. The Castle exception states that if a defendant is in his home or business, he's not required to retreat prior to using deadly force for self-defense. So, good for him.
Yeah, and crowbars. It sounds like one of those would fall into the blunt instrument in the FBI statistics we talked about in the first subject.
Yep. Midnight says he shot him with a crowbar. Is that an NFA item? How much is the stamp for a crowbar gun? Yeah, I think that some of these stories that we've been running into could have used the services of an at least slightly skilled editor. Hell, even a mediocre editor probably would have caught some of this stuff. Let's see. This is from MontgomeryAdvertiser.com. September 30th, 2019. So get rid of some of this garbage. Montgomery police believe a man fatally shot Friday evening was shot in self-defense after he opened fire on another man during a fight. Montgomery police on Monday announced they were conducting a death investigation into the September 27th shooting rather than a homicide investigation. They have not identified the deceased. Circumstances surrounding the shooting initially were unknown, MPD Captain Regina Duckett said in a release. Further investigation indicates that the deceased subject fired shots at an adult male during a verbal altercation. The adult male returned fire in self-defense, fatally striking the deceased. The adult male involved in the verbal altercation was not injured. The shooting occurred around 5:20 p.m. at the 200 block of East Riding Road, a residential street near Crump Park and Peter Crump Elementary School in southeast Montgomery. So there you go.
Oh, great. There's another school shooting to go on the list because it happened, in the proximity of a school that probably wasn't even in service at the time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You're right. Look how close to the elementary school that was. Yeah, I'm sure they absolutely will count that one. Good catch. I bet they do. I bet they do. And last but certainly not least, from KRCR News, KRCRTV.com, armed civilian helped stop Reading man arrested for multiple felony charges. By Adam Robinson, Thursday, September 26, 2019. Reading, California. A Reading man's kidnapping attempt was halted when an armed civilian intervened and allowed law enforcement officials to arrest him. On Thursday at 5:48 p.m., Reading Police Department responded to Westwood Avenue for reports of a male, later identified as Carl Dudley Halsey, 43, of Reading, beating a female on the front lawn of a home. RPD officers said they were advised by victim number 1, saying her husband, Halsey, left in a vehicle with her younger sister, victim number 2. Victim number 1 told officers both she and her sister were assaulted and that victim number 2 may have been kidnapped by Halsey. While searching for Halsey, officials say they received information that he was at the Wind River Mini Mart on the 2000 block of South Bonnie View Road, and someone was pointing a handgun at another individual near the gas pumps. Officers rushed to the scene, and upon arrival, they learned the person with the handgun was actually a Good Samaritan who had confronted Halsey after seeing victim number 2 in the vehicle in distress. RPD says Halsey fled from the mini-mart location after the Samaritan pointed his handgun and began heading southeast in a field towards the Sacramento River and was eventually apprehended. Victim number 2 confirmed Halsey had assaulted her, attempted to steal the vehicle she had been driving, and drove her against her will from the scene. She also told investigators Halsey attempted to sexually assault her when they were traveling in the vehicle. Halsey was arrested and booked into the Shasta County Jail on charges of domestic violence, assault with a deadly weapon, carjacking, kidnapping, sexual battery, and resisting arrest. Oh, he's damn sure going to go into PC as soon as he gets into prison. In California, they do not play with any sex charges. They will, you got to go. RPD officials say One Safe Place is providing services to victim number 1 and say victim number 2 suffered minor injuries and was transported from the scene by family. The victims are not being named because they were victims of domestic violence and sexual battery, respectively. Officials say multiple officers, including K9 Auto, responded to the event. A CHP helicopter also responded, which RPD officials say was a huge help with the incident. So there you have it, folks. Despite what the antis will tell you, we have several instances within the past 7 or 8 days of the armed citizen stopping the bad guy. So there you have it, folks. Another week in the record books. I am, as always, amazed and humbled that as many of you are sticking around to watch this. I, eternally grateful for seeing all these names week after week after week out here. I appreciate you so much. I really, I can't tell you how much. Speaking of appreciate you how much, let me say hello and goodbye to my esteemed panel. Thank you for coming by, guys. Calaveras 32 Special, Tactical Pickle, please, anything you'd like to leave us with or anything you would like to plug?
Not a whole lot. Just want to say thank you for the invite, letting me on the show. Hopefully I didn't, take it too far down the drain for you guys.
Nope. Where can people find your projects at?
That's where I have my channel here on YouTube. It's also over on Gunstreamer. Now that GunTube is getting, an upgrade, that's where I've been limited on what I've been putting over there because the old system, I was trying not to stress it too much. But now that it's getting upgraded, I'm going to start throwing my stuff over there more.
Outstanding. Well, you're welcome back to the show anytime. Night Strike. Or are we still calling you, or are we starting to call you Mike from GunTube now? Which is it?
I think it's more like Mike from GunTube. But,
okay, well, Mike from GunTube, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. Yeah.
Right, please, plug GunTube.
I'm working on GunTube as hard as I can right now to get it back up and running. But, again, still one-man operation. I mean, I'm not like Gunstreamer where I have like 4 or 5 employees. And I got to do everything myself.
Well, you'll get it there.
I'll get there eventually, right?
That's right.
And we appreciate everything you do there, Night Strike.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The irascible yet lovable Squibload. Anything you'd like to plug? Anything you'd like to leave us with, sir?
Yeah, we got to work on that irascible thing. There's been some scuttlebutt going around that it might be more like the lovable but harassable Squibload.
That is hilarious.
I can't take credit for that one. There's a mayonnaise hating person in Maryland who's may be responsible for starting that campaign.
Harassable.
Hashtag harassable.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Harassable. I'm definitely going to have to start using that. Warsaw, glad to see you stopping by on the panel. Is there anything you would like to plug? Any final words you'd like to leave us with?
First of all, thank you for having me on the panel. It's been a fun night listening about these stories. Also, guys, fight for your Second Amendment rights. We got to keep our politicians in check. And all, anything else? I'm just going to be doing more videos in the next coming days, maybe. So yeah, just go on my YouTube channel, Warsaw Patriot, and you'll probably see a new video here and there.
All right. Well, again, I'd like to leave you guys with my sincerest thanks for spending the time with me. You know, of all the things that you could be doing starting at 11:30 p.m. Eastern on a Friday night, you're choosing to spend, you know, an hour and a half with me. I appreciate it so much. I am just humbled by it. And, you know, your interest and your caring about what I'm doing here really gives me the motivation to do it. So thank you very much. I again want to plug the rally for the Second Amendment on November 2nd in Washington, D.C. There's going to be a lot of good speakers there. Please, if you can't come, help somebody who can come get here. Even if you just funnel $5 at them, that's $5 less that they have to worry about. You know, some people are trying to come from across the country. I'm lucky. I only have 6 hours to drive, and I've got, you know, quite a few people coming with me, so that throws the cost down. So that's pretty awesome. But there are some people who have a whole lot farther to come, and we need to try to get everybody there that we can. The more boots on the ground that we have on that Capitol lawn, the better it is for our cause. So if you can't make it, funnel a few bucks to somebody that can. You know, as I said, Clover was out there in the chat, and he's like, hey, I'll take it. G-Webs is selling those awesome Glocktober patches. Go check those out at Gear Websites. I bought one just to help him out. And you know, they're Glocktober patches. It's awesome. Kind of has a Oktoberfest theme to it. So, you know, I felt it was pretty cool. So I got one. Anyhow,
anybody who hasn't ever bought a patch off of Gear Websites, you'll find that they're a high quality patch. They come with a Velcro backing in case, you know, you want to sew it on yourself or have somebody sew it on. So they are of really good quality, and it's a complete patch, not just a patch with no backing at all or no second piece or anything else. And they ship pretty quick in a padded envelope. So
and they usually
your
have a
stuff
few
will
extra
get there, and it'll
protecting
be
them.
in one piece.
It's like, you know, very good point, Squib. And G usually throws a few other things in there, including usually in Every Second Matters, a card and a few other good goodies as well.
And those business cards, those Every Second Matters business cards, are great for handing out at rallies if you can get somebody to talk to you, and they do get their attention. Just that whole phrase itself, Every Second Matters, it gets people to go, "What's that all about?"
Absolutely right. So go ahead and check that out. Let's get our hashtag not a cult leader to DC with us. So sorry, had to do it. I guess I had to stir that pot. Anyhow, I want to leave you guys with our with the admonition I do all the time in these dangerous times. Please, now more than ever, let your Congress critters and elected representatives know what you think about these unconstitutional attempts to curtail our rights. Because, as the Second Amendment says, well, what does that say, Night Strike? Headphone warning.
Shall not be infringed.
That's right. Let them know it. They don't see the light till they feel the heat. Send them snail mail, email, telephone, telegraph, semaphore, heliograph, smoke signals, carrier pigeons, bicycle messengers, runners. Do whatever you have to do to let them know what you think, and never, ever, ever give up the fight. I'll see you guys on the next one.
Bye.